Hi, Janet, JDK Counseling. Hope you're all doing well. Today I want to talk to you about cognitive distortions. And cognitive distortions are simply thinking errors. And they're ways of thinking that we can default to when we're tired, when we're anxious, when we're fearful, when we need to make sense of behaviors or patterns. In Cognitive distortions can affect how we respond, whether we react or whether we respond. They can affect our relationships with the people closest to us, with colleagues, with friends, with institutions that we interact with even how we view the world and interpret and make sense of what's going on in the world around us. Um, I'll Google the list so you can get the full list of the ten most common cognitive distortions. And it's something we all do. We all have sort of our default modes of thinking that we enter into when we're anxious or fearful or, again, not looking to make meaning of patterns. I want to briefly talk to you about three of those 10. One is all or nothing thinking. And that's basically thinking of things in absolutes, black or white, no gray in between. Something is either all this or it's never this. A person always does this, or that person never does this. And if we think about it, there really are very few things that are that absolute. Even things that our spouses or the people closest to us do or don't do, it's rarely ever all or nothing, all or never. Overgeneralization is another one, and that's viewing any negative event, whether again it's something simple that our spouse or partner or somebody in our family or a colleague does, or something in our workplace or the world around us. We view one negative event or even a relatively small series of events as a never ending pattern. This is the way things are and always will be. This is the way that person or persons always are and always will act. There's no hope of change, no hope of growth or redemption in that. That's what overgeneralization is. Another one is magnification or minimizing. And what that is we see, again, something somebody does or something a group does or something that happens, and we either blow it way out of proportion or the event may be so overwhelming to us that we minimize its importance. It's a way for us to not deal with the reality of what is and just examine as objectively as we can what is. There's more, like I say, Google cognitive distortions. Oftentimes, what I do with couples when they're in therapy with me is I'll have them look at the list of cognitive distortions. I give them a list of 10, and I ask them to pick out their favorite two, their sort of default two, the ones they find themselves using the most when they're tired or angry or frustrated or they can't make sense of behaviors or comments or whatever it is. And I'll ask them to pay attention to, when do you use these most? Do you tend to use them when you're angry, when you're frustrated, when you're scared, when you're anxious, when you don't know how to make sense of something? And pay attention to what happens when in your relationships when you've defaulted to a cognitive distortion. Pay attention to what happens in your relationships when you're thinking more clearly, when you have taken care of yourself in body, mind, or spirit, so you can respond from your best, from your clearest, from your highest self. Play that little game with yourself. I'd encourage you to do that. See which are your default favorite two. Most people look at the list and go, yeah, I do all of these things. In reality, we all do all of them once in a while, but we kind of have our favorite two. Pay attention. Note them. Note what you have to do to take care of yourself so that you're thinking and interpreting things as clearly as you can from your highest and best self. Notice what happens in your relationships when you do that. Notice what happens with your enjoyment in life when you do that. Notice what happens when how you interact with the world around you when you function and are aware of your cognitive distortions and your ability to choose and act and respond from as clear a thinking process as possible. If you need some coaching on this, call someone like me, Jan at therapysecure.com. Get a reference from your doctor for a therapist. Talk to a priest, a pastor, your rabbi, imam, whoever. Talk to your loved one about it and play the game with each other on paying attention to cognitive distortions. And note how they can improve your relationships when you take care of yourself in body, mind, and spirit. You can be more present to others, as clearly in your highest and best self possible. Thank you.